Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Top Agent Commercial Wednesdays. My name is James Wong. I will be your moderator MC today. I'm really excited about it because we were just talking behind about how the market's changing. What do you need, especially the strong mindset, a plan. We were talking about what can you do if you want to be in commercial real estate. And I did boil it down. If you don't want a cold call, I said, this is what you do where contacts work in commercial real estate. But if you do not want to always cold call, I said, you know what? I wanted to boil it down to see who are the most successful. And from my experience training over 2,000 agents, it was determined that a lot of athletes were very good in commercial real estate. A lot of entrepreneurs did very well in commercial real estate. And also a lot of military did well. But with these high-performing coaches, teams, training, and I've actually trained with Dr. John and his partner, getting to know Scott and all the accolades and everything well that he's done together. It was very powerful that I had to share what they've done for me and changing my life to hopefully change your life to be held accountable, become a top performer, have the right kind of the mental mindset where I know with Scott Conway, getting to know him. Scott, I don't know how many degrees you have in martial arts and how many grandmasters and other masters, wow, Ted, that you've trained over your life and with Dr. John and how you partner together. It is truly amazing. And Scott, you're just the most humble guy with writing so many books with Dr. John, training with Tony Robbins and so many other people that everyone does know, and being one of the top performing coaches. So much so, Dr. I think that they had to combine all of their sales and coaching and everything else because you kind of outperformed everyone. But I'm really excited with Scott having you share your story and introducing Dr. John and your journey of how you both became partners to be such high performance trainers, NLP, you name it. I think you've all done it before. So, Scott, if you don't mind giving us an intro and introducing Dr. John.
Well, just a tiny sliver of me. Sometimes you'll hear me refer to as Grandmaster Scott because I've been doing martial arts since 1971. And like James said, it is having a mentality where you're accustomed to being opposed, as we are in combat training, or in facing opponents, as athletes often are, makes all the difference in the world. But I'm going to be sharing in a little bit, but we're going to lead off with Dr. John. Now, I want to give you a context a little bit about who you're listening to. So, Dr. John Oda worked in mental health with the hardest clients you could possibly imagine. Mentally disturbed teenagers. So they're minors and they have a level of need that is just off over the top. And very often they are institutionalized, so they don't want to be there. And John got to work with them. So imagine having that kind of background and then having your doctorate. So you're a clinician, you're a clinical psychologist, and you can do this level work. And then he shows up at the Tony Robbins organization. He gets trained by Tony Robbins on top of what he already knows as a mental health professional, as a doctor. And he is an NLP master trainer. That means if you've ever been in NLP training, there's practitioner, master practitioner. Then there's a trainer that can train the practitioners. Then there's the trainers that can train the master practitioners. He's at that top tier. And then he gets trained by Chet Holmes and the business coaching side. So he walks in with all of this experience, almost immediately starts taking the number 1 and number 2 spot in sales and closing, working with business clients, high-level business clients. And the only reason he's not number 1 every single year is because he's willing to take the smaller people, because his attitude was, if they're small and I'm working with them, they're not going to be small for long. I'm not going to only help the big people become bigger. I'm going to help the medium and small people get to be the medium and the big people. And so he has the experience taking people from the lower to mid-range right up to the top. It is insane what this man has done. So imagine getting one of Tony Robbins' top coaches with a decade of experience, and he's going to show up and share some levels of secret that go beyond anything. For those of you who have ever attended Tony Robbins seminar or an NLP training or an NLP sales training, that's like kindergarten level stuff compared to the stuff that John knows. and we've got minutes instead of hours and days over a 12-month period. So you're going to get a tiny slice of a tiny taste of an almost magical secret technique. And so he's going to walk you through just a little bit of this, and then I'm going to come in when he's done with that part, and I'm going to share another absolute power principle technique that can be incredibly transformational, and I will explain to you a little bit about why this is the one I'm sharing. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to kick this over to Dr. John Oda.
Oh my goodness, what an introduction that you just gave me. Let me share my screen. Guys, I'm a little bit old school, so please bear with me on this bad boy. A little bit, very old school, to be truly honest with you. I'm what you call as analog when it comes to type of training. So the name of the program, guys, is Master the Secret Language of Influence. So here's how to follow me. Here's my website, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and my new community that I actually started. So right now, guys, I am going to take you through a process right now of some questions. And this is just, I just want to see where you guys are at right now. And if you guys can write them on the chat, or you can also write them on notes and stuff, right? So what exactly do you want from today? And why did you attend? And I want you guys to actually make that brain works to figure out what's taking place. The next question that I have is, how can I use this information today? The information that you have today, well, Scott as well as myself, and Scott, thank you so much for that phenomenal introduction. I can't even say anything else about myself. I think you named everything, right? So how can you use this information is today? Next question is, what can I learn new today? Some of the stuff you guys can learn, you're going to say, I know the stuff already. Okay, fine. Some of the stuff is going to be completely brand new, because I'm going to give you guys a hack that's going to actually completely blow your mind on this one, right? But normally, as Scott said, it takes a little bit of hours. I'm going to do it in a short period of time. The next one is, why should I learn this today? Listen to me. If you want to be a better parent, you want to be a better a person in sales or / influence, if you want to negotiate better, close more deals, this is why that's what you're going to learn today, right? What are you going to learn today? Oh my God. My stuff I think is phenomenal, but man, Scott's stuff is, Scott's one of my mentors. I follow his stuff that he has. He's a great guy, great friend, but I go into him a little bit later on. How do you master this? Practice, practice, and more practice. When I used to play basketball, back in the state of Indiana, and I used to practice 8, 9, 10 hours a day. Why? Practice, practice, practice. Because practice does not make perfect. Practice prepare you for your competition, so then you can close more deals. Last but not least, and how can I have fun today? Guys, life should be fun. Life should be, I call it the 3 E's. It should be entertaining, educational, and exciting, and fun. So for the next 40 some odd minutes, then we're going to make this the 3 E's to you: entertaining, education, as well as exciting. Now, guys, this is going to be a workshop. Let's have some fun right now. Now, this type of stuff you guys probably already heard of already, right? So you guys, if you went into any type of Anthony Robbins training, any type of training, you guys pretty much heard of. How do you gain rapport? So here's my scenario. If I say, I want you to gain rapport with somebody, go into a mall, introduce yourself to 5 people, how would you do it? Write it down. Okay, I got somebody. Somebody says, I would introduce myself and say, hi, I like what you have on. Very good. Okay, that's good. Somebody will say, I would say, hey, John, I like sports. Do you? Very good. So let's break this down really quickly, guys, right? The first way how most people would normally gain rapport with anybody is by the words they use. Here's a challenge in the problem. Words only equal 7%, 7% only. That's it. No more and no less. So if someone will say, hey, John, I live in Irvine, right? People say, John, who is your favorite basketball team? I'd say the Bulls. Why? Because I'm from the Indiana area. And that's, people go, oh, well, how about the Lakers? The Lakers not bad, don't get me wrong. The Lakers are better in the 80s and 90s than the Lakers today, but okay, right? But words only 7. Or you use the words that they use the most. Next one, tone, tempo, and tonality. Woo! Guys, does anybody have kids around here? Have you guys ever heard of that song called, here it goes, I'm gonna sing, guys. Now, a song like a wounded moose. Rock-a-bye baby on the treetop. When the wind blows. Have you ever heard those words? They're terrible words. But the baby get on. Why? Because of tone, temper, tonality. When you gain rapport, if a person speaks slow, if you speak very, very fast, out of rapport. The person talk very loud, like I normally talk. You talk very soft, now the report. Now we all heard this stuff already, but I'm gonna really make a point. Last but not least, it's physiology. If somebody moves their hands when they're speaking, and if you move your hands when you're speaking, oh my God, the people are gonna think, oh my God, he's just like me. He's my soulmate. So these things that we already heard already, right? Fair enough? Yes or yes. Beautiful. Now, guys, let's have some fun. Now, what I'm going to teach you what we call is magic words. This is something Tony Robbins does not teach. I've been with Tony's since 1995, to be truly honest with you. I have worked in the mental health field for 37 years, the business coaching for 29 years, worked with over 10,000 CEOs. But here's what I do know that Tony Robbins does not teach this because I'm with him. And the really biggest difference is, as Grandmaster Scott would understand, is when you were, so Grandmaster, he is a Grandmaster in Kempo, Kobuchitsu, and Jiu-Jitsu, right? And he is the highest level of the Grandmaster. So when he has his students are going to teach pretty much the exact same way, right? But some traditional NLP, they don't teach the way. They might have 10 levels down. The way that I took it from a gentleman that you guys are going to meet pretty soon, Dr. Horton, he learned from Bandler and Grimley. So we use a traditional way of doing NLP. And the traditional way is using what we call as magic words. But what magic words is, it bypasses the subconscious mind. It implants new ideals. Get results. Subconsciously, people are saying yes, 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 yes. So guys, let me show you what some of the magic words are. The magic words that bypass the subconscious mind, the more of the neurology of pretty much enlightening your neurology is the three words: naturally, easily, effortlessly. Now, when people say the word, hey, Josh, naturally, when you do this training, my number one goal as being your trainer is to make this easily and effortlessly. Remember that book came out, the 4-Hour Work Week? And everybody loved that book. You know why? Because it was easy. 4 hours, and I can make all this money like this guy. Well, we didn't know that Tim Ferriss was working 80 hours a week, but we didn't tell that part. He wrote about the 4-hour work week, right? But now these other words open up the mind. And this calls the attention on the focus. So then you use the word aware, notice, and realize. Right? So then I'm coming, it's naturally, if you take this training, our number one outcome is to have this easily and effortlessly. Then once we notice the pattern of this economy, then we can show you how to actually provide more cold calling, more strategy to actually do your business well, and will push you beyond your thinking so you will understand of how to close more deals. What that took place is now it opened up your neurology. People going, yeah, brilliant. It's almost like this. And you're getting hooked on this stuff, right? But now here's the question that I have for you, right? What does President Clinton, President Obama, Donald Trump, President Trump, what do they all have in common? And if you guys said it, these guys were master communicators, they are. And what they use is what these call is these magic words. And these magic words went to past the subconscious mind, focused on what they wanted to focus on, and close more deals. Of course, they got more votes, right? Next thing, right? Then what we figure out, okay, these people, there's three types of people. There's people who's visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, right? So just say, I'm talking to James, right? And James is hypervisual. You guys pretty much know James is pretty much hypervisual, right? So when I'm speaking to James and stuff, I'm talking to him, I said, James, for naturally, this training is going to be fine. And we're going to make this easy and effortlessly. Once we realize your outcome, we can actually figure out how to actually close more deals and make sure that you're on the right path. Then what I'll use, remember when we pitched on the three components? I figure out what words James is using the most, the tone, tempo, tonality, and follow his physiology. Same thing with the auditorial words. The exact same context. If a person is auditorial, I use the same intro. I open up their neurology. I use some of the magic words, and I say, I realize that if you would listen, the more you listen to me, the more money of that you will make, because I know you, like me, want the cutting edge and how to actually grow your business. Last but not least, feelings words. The exact same thing. The person's more kinesthetic, they're inside their feelings. If they pretty much like hold their hands, they're kinesthetic, right? What you do, you speak inside their language, you speak inside their world, you enter the world. What you're gonna do, you're going to open up their neurology, use the magic words, and grab them and close them. Now, I wish I had more time to actually explain the whole process, but I don't. But I just want to give you guys a hack on this, because if you use this in the right way and also in the written word, if you use this in the written word, and you can use it over and over again, people don't understand it. People are going to say yes, 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 and yes. But let me tell you up right now. Now I'm going to introduce my friend, right? I'm going to introduce Scott Conway. Scott Conway is phenomenal. He walks his talk. I follow his leadership program, his Ohana Way. I've been with him for the past 15 years of my life. He's also my business attorney, which is a blessing because he got me out of so much crazy trouble, because I am not the smartest guy when it comes to certain things. So thank you, Scott, about that. Scott is an author of 60 books. 60 books on leadership. Scott's got programs when it comes to literally from every aspect, from parents and teens. You got stuff from leadership, Ohana Way, literally everything that he has. Scott's the Grand Master. I went to some of his courses, his classes that he taught these little young kids, and it was amazing of how he talked to them and his mat chats. Listen to me, guys. I'm going to be the honor and grand to meet here's Scott. All right, Scott, man, it's on you, my brother.
All right. Well, that's a fun, playful introduction. Resume-wise, I've got my broker's license, and I'm an attorney in multiple states. I have written some 60 books. I have the PhD, the JD. I'm a pastor at Wesleyan Church. I'm the Grandmaster, Guardian Kempo Kajuko Do, and all of that. And going to something that James said is, in law school, I had this performance at a moot court. And my professor asked to talk to me afterwards, and his one question was, "Are you a black belt?" And I thought, well, that's an odd question. He says, well, because every student I've ever had since I became a professor that did as well as you did under pressure was always a black belt. So I just want to know if you're my very first exception or if you're a black belt. Well, of course, I was another one of the black belts. And as a martial artist, as someone who's been doing this for, what does it mean? If I started in 1971 and it's 2024, that means I'm at 53 years of doing this. Here is a tactical question as a martial artist. If I handle a potentially explosive conflict poorly, if my emotional skills, my conversational skills, and my ability to address problems is poor, will I get in more fights or fewer fights? Well, we know that'll be more fights. I'm also a lawyer. When humans get into conflict, do people sue people they like? No, they don't, even if they have a case. Do people sue people they are ticked off at? Yes, they do, whether they have a case or not. One of the most ridiculous cases I ever had to handle was fought over because someone was so mad that they wanted to sue somebody. They had no case, but it was going to cost $15,000 to $30,000 to get in front of a judge to show they had no case. But litigation is driven by the most unreasonable person in the conflict. And then today, one of my clients found out that in his profession, there were 8 review sites, 4 of which he had never even heard of until one ticked off patient went and found them, and he had 1 review on those sites, a negative review blasting him as bad as possible because a patient that was carrying a really ever-growing balance was pissed off, not just a little upset, pissed off that he told her, I can't keep providing services for free.
Scott, I don't see
I
no
will hold
PowerPoint,
the
bro.
balance I already have, but I need you to pay as you go from now on. And that got her so infuriated that she went and found 8 sites to flame him on reviews, 4 of which this guy had never even heard of. And all of a sudden, when you Google his name, guess what? 8 of the top 20, if you went page 1 and page 2, between the 2 of them, all 8 of the flaming reviews showed up. And imagine what kind of damage that can do to us as professionals when people are checking out and say, well, let me see who the Scott Conway guy is. And you Google my name, and then page 1 and page 2, 6 of them on page 1 and 2 more on page 2 are just saying how horrible I am. Well, that happened to him. So I am going to get into a conversational tactic that solves all of these things. It's included in my program, Unique Standout Professional. Get connected, get remembered, and get business. And there's my credentials down on the bottom. If you want to get those in more detail, you can find them on my website. Or if you're watching the recording, pause if you want to look me up and all of those things. My signature part of this program is connecting you to I love them enough. And it is because as real estate professionals, we are in a unique position, better than lawyers, to help make sure our clients set up their business and their real estate so that it facilitates their estate plan. Because over the course of the years, 90% of the time, the problems that I've run into with people's estates have nothing to do with what the lawyer drafted. What the lawyer drafted was fine. It's something the people did afterwards. And most of those had to do with real estate. And so I talk about that in the program. And for those of you who don't like cold calling, this gives you a reason to call them other than, I want your real estate business. This gives you a reason to call every prospect and to call every person and say, hey, I'm a real estate professional. I've recently learned from a lawyer this, and I just want to make sure that you're okay with you and your family and your estate plan. And that's contained in the program. But that's not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about conflict. Conflict costs. It costs clients. It costs contracts. It costs careers. The most common time I get called in as a lawyer in these deals is because there's a conflict. And what they're hoping for is that I can help stop the conflict from turning into a lawsuit. And they're hoping that I might be able to save deals. And part of what got me going on this topic recently is one of my own clients, a coaching client, called me up to let me know she just saved a multi-million-dollar relationship. She had introduced one of her 7-figure colleagues to one of her 8-figure colleagues, and they just had a misunderstanding early on in their first interactions, and it was spiraling into a mess. And she was thinking, like, at this level of business, how could the 2 of you be blowing a business relationship this badly? Well, it's because their egos got involved and they had a very, very human conflict. And in the process of this very, very human conflict, they were melting down a relationship that between the 2 of them could have been worth literally millions of dollars. And she's watching this happen in real time because then both of them are contacting her, complaining about the other one with, well, how can you do business with such a stupid idiot? What the hell's wrong with you? And you think, okay, I need to salvage this. And the technique I'm going to be sharing with you in just a minute is what she used to mitigate between both of them and get the 2 of them talking to each other. And she was so blown away by using it in this unique situation in her world that she just had to call me and tell me, oh my God, this was amazing. Do you have time for me to share a story? Well, when a client's excited about sharing a story, I want to hear it. And it's because we're all human. It doesn't matter if you're starting out and you're still at negative income, or if you are a 6, 7, or 8-figure business operator. We all have a guaranteed lack of perfection, and sometimes that's going to get us into conflict. We need a system to handle problems with people, because when emotion goes up, intellect goes down. And if we rely on, well, I know how to talk to people, say, well, do you know how to talk to people when you're annoyed? Do you know how to talk to people when you're angry? Do you know how to talk to people when you are pissed off and you just hope a car runs over the guy on his way to the office tomorrow? And if you have a system and you can plug into the system, and especially if you printed up the chart, and this is one of the things my clients do while they're getting used to this, especially, and it works beautifully in these days with Zoom calls, is they will have it up in front of them. So when they feel things starting to get tense, they go, okay, they'll glance up at the chart and they go, okay, I know where I am. I know what I'm doing. All right, let me run this. So we need a system to handle problems with people because we will have problems with people and we will sometimes be the problem with people. And I talked about being a business attorney and a state attorney. So many expensive problems could have been solved so easily and for free at the human level before they reach the legal level. And I mentioned the social media review sites. One bad viral situation can last forever. And we've even had cases where the person agreed, yeah, I got angry, I was out of control, I'm sorry. And we found there's 1 to 3 review sites, depending on your industry, where even the one who posted it cannot take away what they posted. It is there forever. It's just the way it is. And a big one, if you've ever lost a team member or you've ever quit a team, 70% of the time, it's about people. John Maxwell even says he's found that leaders leave organizations when they have a problem with an average of 6 people. This solves that too. Here's a basic model of how we handle every conversation that has to do with change. We have some framework we come in with. We have some form of conversation, and we seek change in some way. We all have some version of this. This is a very simplified path. And part of the framework, the reason that one's a square is because that tends to be a very solid. That's our starting point. It's not going anywhere. The conversation ideally is a funnel. We kind of start and we flow in easily and we get to our point. And then the change is kind of this easy, soft thing that'll roll us forward and it will make things different, hopefully, from now on. But this is the way we often do it. The framework is we're emotional. So we're pissed off or we're stressed out or we're overwhelmed or whatever the feeling is we have, or we show up, we're looking for someone to blame. It's not our fault. Sometimes it's their fault. Sometimes it's somebody else's fault. Sometimes it's the boss's fault. You know, those idiots upstairs told me that I have to do this. Or we just flat out go on the attack. And so all of these are emotional forms of having a foundation walking in because we are starting off this conversation from a place of emotion, a place of self-justification, a place of rationalization. And then we come in with what I call backwards communication. We'll get into what proper communication is in a moment. And that's when we seek to be understood. So if John and I have a problem, and we have very different personalities, even though our value structure is very similar. And if I'm demanding, John needs to understand what I'm saying. And meanwhile, John's going, wait, but you're wrong. And John's going, Scott needs to understand what I'm saying. Well, I'm trying to be understood. He's trying to be understood. Neither one of us cares what the other one is saying because we insist upon the other one being understood. And that's just a formula for a fight. We're not defining our ambiguous terms, and neither one of us is trying to understand. And then we try to get away by demanding. We try to get away by manipulation. We try to get away by force. Like, well, you're going to do it this way or you're fired. Or you're going to do it this way or I quit. Or you're going to do it this way or we're not doing business together. And that is so often how we have experienced it. Now, you can tell me for yourself, have you ever been on the receiving end of one of these? And if you haven't, congratulations. If you have, well, that's almost all of us. Have you ever done one of these? Yeah, we've probably all done one of those too. And sometimes we look as if, well, I'm much more professional than that. Have you ever done it with your kids? Have you ever done it with your spouse? Have you ever done it with someone you were dating? Okay, well, now most of us are guilty again. But there's always a version of this that works. And so we're going to dive right into the version of this that works. And this is what my client used that she was so excited about. It begins with a simple framework. And this is part of my Ohana training. One of my most popular, well, my most popular book is The Ohana Way 2.0, my 30th anniversary edition of that book. And the framework is hero, villain, victim. Now, it's a very simple framework. The hero is the one who makes it better. And so when I'm having one of these conversations, what's my goal? I want it to be made better. Well, that puts me in the hero role. Then there's the villain. The villain is the one who makes it worse. Well, usually I'm having this conversation because I think someone made it worse. So I'm going to let them have it. And the victim is the one for whom it is made worse, which might be me. It might be someone for whom I am responsible. But whatever's going on, something got made worse. I've got the villain to go deal with, and I'm going to be the one who makes it better. And even if I'm going to make it better because I have pretty intense feelings around this, and I'm just going to go blast someone, and they're never going to do this again because I'm going to give them what for. But my framework of hero, villain, victim lets me look at this differently. Because let's go back to me and John. Suppose John and I are having this disagreement. We have mismatched on some subject. And we have time for a 1-hour Zoom meeting. We booked it this hour, and I just come in blasting him, "You're the villain." Well, first off, if I convince him, this is part of the site where he talked about the magic words, the things that go right into your subconscious. If he's the villain, that means I have defined him as the one who makes it worse. If he goes, "Okay, fine, I'm the one who makes it worse, and I made it worse. What do you expect?" So if I convince him, winning my argument costs me everything I'm actually after. Just like if I get in an argument with, and I'm talking about John just as a business partner. What if I do that with my wife and I convince my wife that she's the villain? You go, "Okay, I'm the villain. I always make your life worse. I'm the one that messes it up for you. Why would you want to be married to a villain?" And if she thinks, "Well, I'm not the villain," I don't convince her. Why would I want to be married to someone who thinks I'm the villain when I'm clearly not the villain? And so there's no way to win. Winning that argument or losing that argument can cost me everything that is truly important to me. In business, that's what loses contracts. In business, that's what loses entire clients. In business, that's what costs us our top team members. In business, that's the kind of fights we can get in with our leaders, our bosses, our mentors, our teachers, our key referral partners that can cost us business. Because there's no way to win that argument. Because when I'm done convincing John he's the villain, win or lose that argument, what's the next thing I want from him? I want him to make it better. Well, that's the hero role. So I'm going, "Villain, villain, villain." Say, "Okay, fine, villain. I'm not even going to argue with her. What do you want?" Hero, hero, hero. So why don't I just start there? Heroes recruiting heroes. That I am someone who wants to make it better. I want you to make it better. And so I start off with that assumption that if something's melting down, you don't want it to melt down. I don't want it to melt down. Let's save this together. Because here's the key. Suppose John just did something that I don't like. And it might not be objectively wrong. It's just I'm having a bad day and it just hit me the wrong way today. I want him to help make it better. Well, what made it worse for me? Was it John, the person, or was it a certain behavior? And was it the behavior or the behavior in a particular context? What if that behavior came from someone else? Would I still be mad at John? No, I'd be mad at the person who did the behavior. So that is simple, easy proof that the problem isn't the person. The problem is the problem separate from the person. So who's the villain? The problem is the villain. Who is my solution to helping make things better? The person. So that's a hero recruiting a hero, someone who wants to make it better, recruiting someone to help me make it better. And what are we trying to make better? The problem that is separate from both of us. We team up against the problem. So then we are a team and we are collaborating. Well, how do we get to that? That's the framework I come in with. Conversation to communication. Now, for a lot of people, these sound like they're overlapping words. Like what's the difference between conversation and communication? Conversation is about human connection. Communication is about the transfer of ideas. When we're just having a conversation, we don't care if you get the information and if you can go home and answer a quiz about what I just shared with you. We're just connecting. We're just chit-chatting. We're getting human-to-human connection. We're getting what we call rapport. Communication, then, is about the transfer of ideas. And we open with conversation. We make sure that we get connected as people, and then we worry about the transfer of ideas. But here's the secret. We begin by understanding the other person. The transfer of ideas we want first is from them to me. I want to understand where they're coming from. Now, the biggest reason this is important is what I thought happened might not be what actually happened. If I'm upset because someone told me what happened, I want to know if that's what really happened. What the person did that upset me so that in one context might be a broken rule, in another context might have saved me from another problem. Maybe what I thought was a lie was really just a mistake. What they were sharing with me, they thought was true. They were going on the information they had. It turned out to be incorrect, but they didn't know that. While a lie is they knew what the truth was and they intentionally tried to deceive me. And so if I'm upset because someone lied to me, or is what really happened is, well, no, they thought what they were sharing was the truth. Was I wrong? And sharing something that, if it were true, was important for me to know, is important to me. And so I want that information. Just because this one happened to not be true doesn't mean I don't want people telling me things. And so sometimes when you seek to understand first, you find out that you weren't having the problem you thought you were having. But the rest of the time, of course, we are. Sometimes it just comes down to a definition of terms. What do we mean by the words that we're using? So sometimes when you say someone lied, it means what they said wasn't true from our point of view. Well, sometimes for some people, it can actually be objectively true, but they still consider it a lie. They still call it a lie because they don't like it, because it doesn't fit their individual narrative. It doesn't fit what they want to be true. So then we need to define our terms. And then once we know how we're using words, once we understand their point of view, now we're in a position to be understood. And we can be understood in the context of what we now know. Now we can avoid them being defensive because we already know their starting point. We know their vocabulary. And now we can talk about it from our point of view. Like, well, how I experienced that was this. What that felt like to me was this. Because now my goal isn't to prove to them they're the villain. My goal is just, I would like to be understood so you understand what I would like to have different. Then we have the change conversation. This comes at 4 levels. The simplest level is you just make a request. You ask, could we please do this differently from now on? Sometimes we have habits. I mean, has anyone ever agreed to change behavior, but you have old habits and the old habits, they just keep clicking along? Why do the old habits click along? Because they're habits. And so sometimes the request by itself is not enough for a permanent change. So the next level of that is a training boundary. Now, the difference between a boundary and a rule is you will do this or else, and the or else is punitive. A boundary is an if-then statement. If you do this, then I will do that. And the I will do that is usually a behavior specifically aimed at not having to experience that behavior. A simple example would be, if you are going to smoke in my house, then I'm not going to invite you into my house. Or if you light up when I'm with you and you won't take that somewhere else, then I'll take myself somewhere else. You're perfectly welcome to smoke. I mean, you're a grown-up. You get to decide if you're a smoker or not. And I get to decide if I'm going to be around the smoking. So both of us win. And so that's a boundary. Now, a training boundary, though, is as you habitually, thoughtlessly, just on autopilot, pull out the cigarette and start lighting up. The training boundary is we pre-agree. It's like, and if your habit takes over, is it okay if I just remind you that you agreed to not smoke around me? And that's as simple as a training boundary has to be. Sometimes a training boundary is to preempt me experiencing it. Can I remind you beforehand, or can we do this differently? Like very often, I offer books to people. But my books are often in my car, in my home, or in my office. So that's where I keep often boxes of books. Well, if I tell someone, well, I'll bring a book the next time I see you. Well, now I have to remember that. But if instead I tell them, well, tell you what, I'm happy to bring you a book the next time I see you. What I ask for you to do is if you will text me in about an hour when I'm back at my office or I'm back at home and remind me that I told you I would bring a copy of this book or this book set to you, then I will put it in my car and I will text you back and let you know it's in my car. Well, that's a training boundary method. That helps make sure that I don't have to remember now, which is good because there's like zero guarantee I'm going to remember something I said in a verbal conversation when I've had 6 things happen between the time I said that and the time I make it to my office. And it puts the onus on you in a way I can immediately do and follow up on it. So that's the utility of training boundaries. And in time, I have a new habit. The next level is an enforcement boundary. An enforcement boundary is whether they agree or not, this is what I'm going to do. And that goes back to the, I won't invite you into my home or I won't invite you into my office if you insist upon smoking. Or if you start smoking when I'm with you out somewhere in public or in your office, I will leave until you're done with the cigarette. And the final stage is to change the relationship. If we just need to have a different kind of relationship so this doesn't keep on happening. And then there's some stuff on being the I love them enough professional that is unique. If you hate cold calling, this is a beautiful way to do it. If you find it uncomfortable to open with business conversations, this is a brilliant way to do it. They give people the conversational starts to help them be problem aware, fast solutions, slower solutions, and it can transform your real estate career and stand out in the market. So not only do you have a reason to talk to them, they will remember you as someone who took care of things beyond just a real estate transaction. If there's 20 people vying for the same business, that will take care of that. And then we'll get back to this offer in a moment. But that strategy was just used by one of my clients to bridge 2 other people and solve the problem. And then also did something where it's not how you mess up, it's how you clean up, utilizing a 4-point apology system, which is also in this, to undo some of the damage and to reset things so they could begin the relationship again. And literally millions of dollars of business has been saved from the simplicity of that format of communication. And now,
Wow.
John, I will kick it back to you because if some of this stuff is intriguing, if this tiny slice of things is intriguing, we have 2 ways that you can follow up with this. A big way, if you have the budget to do big moves and you want to step up to an elite level of performance, John's going to tell you about that. And if you're more than entry level thing and you're going, okay, well, that's out of my budget, as awesome as that is, and as much bang for my buck as I know I would get from that's a little bit beyond me right now. Is there another way I can start? And then I'll come back and I will share some of that with you. So Dr. John.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that presentation. Let me share my screen over here. Those. Hey. I won't be as winded, guys, because I know the time is pretty short and I'm pretty much in that. So let me explain to you what I do have. I have Unlock the Power of Influence of Business, our comprehensive 12 months training program, right? So let me explain to you, first and foremost, my team. I love my team, guys, right? So you guys met Carl Scott already. This is my mentor, Carl Scott. I've been knowing him for 34 years. He trained me in the health field and love this guy to death. He's semi-retired. He's been with me for the last 17 years as being my master business coach. This is Dr. Will Horton. He is the NLP guy. He trained with Bandler and Grindler and Dilts. He's more of the traditional way of doing things. He's part of the team. Love him to death because I've been knowing him for 28 years now. Guys, check this out. Myself, Dr. Horty, and Carl were all from Indiana. Woo-hoo-hoo! Hoosiers all the way. Anyway, so let me guys hit you through just a brief thing about what we're doing, about what the program is. So it is for 12 months. You guys are going to get the link and everything else for this, but it's for 12 months, right? We are going to do NLP certification. Now, when I was working with Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes, I trained all the guys, all of their coaches, and then there is consultants. I had them making between $100,000 and $1 million per year in 12 months, right? That was back from 2008 to 2016. What you get cool about this program also, you get a deep dive quarterly session 4 times per year every quarter. You guys get 6 one-on-one coaching. So it's a hybrid program. It's coaching and a hybrid online, the whole 9 yards. Now, Dr. Will and Carl speak, they do the old school way. They do live programs, which is fine. Also, we do a live training program every quarter. So it'd be the first one will be in Chicago, then it would be in Florida, then it would be whatever Scott, Texas or San Diego and Irvine. Now, here's the cool thing about it. It's a networking thing. You guys come, we teach you guys some phenomenal concepts and strategies, great speaking, great things, and it is all part of the program. Now, we also do, guys, what we call is hypnotic writing. This is like a copywriting, guys. This is show you how to do the copywriting hypnotic way. Remember a guy like Joe Vitale? The same concept, the same strategies. We have a course based on this, all part of the program. All right, I'm almost done. It's almost for a landing. Now, here's the cool part. You guys have a pre-teen or teen, or someone inside your group, someone inside your family, have that. When we come to the event during the adults, on the weekends, we'll do your teenager programs, pre-teen and teen. Pre-teen and teen, it means between 9 years old to 24. These kids are growing up too quick. Most of the times, pre-teens like 11 and 12, and not in this day and age with social media and everything else. We teach them almost the exact same skill set that you guys learn. You know, more of defining the goals and mission statement, self-esteem, confidence, the whole 9 yards. So they get taught literally everything. I'm pretty jazzed about that. Because, matter of fact, I do programs like that even now. I've been doing this for the past 37 years. Work with over 100,000 adolescents and teens with 90% success rate. How I define the 90% success rate is they all went to college. In either trade school, MDs, doctors, commercial pilots, whatever takes place. And last but not least, guys, I'm doing this cool program, guys, right? It is $4,000. If you pay in full, it's $42,000. We have a group rate of you buy 8 tickets and get 2 free. I did something even special this morning. I did some prayer. What I would do if I get 50 full paid tickets, I would give you 50 full back for free. My number one goal, so now it would be 50% off. My number one goal is to serve you guys in the highest way, because I know without a doubt this program is unbelievable. We also have a 60-day money back guarantee. And if you guys don't like it in 60 days, let us know and I'll give you back your money. But that never happened, but that's the case. But here's the cool thing about this program. We will guarantee that you will close 30% more. It'll be easily and effortlessly. We'll free up 5 to 10 hours a week, so giving you more free time so you can have some more breathing space. We will unlock, you have 10x your business, and this would be a great way that spending more time is with your family as well as your loved ones. So what my outcome is for the group coaching, if you give me 50, we will give you 50 free tickets as well. My number one goal is it has to be a win-win, and my number one goal is to help you guys in the highest as possible way. Love James, and then I love as well as Scott. So guys, here's Scott.
Now I'll tell you, the bang for your buck you get on that is the most worthy investment I can imagine, because it will accomplish the goals. But I also recognize not everyone has $40,000 to $50,000 in their business development, personal development, and staff development budget. And a lot of us are operating more the mid-ranges. And so for that, we didn't want to just lock you guys out and say, nope, sorry, we're not working with any of you, because what we wanted to do is offer you the opportunity to start inexpensively. Now, the unique standout professional program if you do the full package that includes the I Love Them Enough trainings, $2,500 if you just go to my website and buy that. The Unique Standout Pro as a standalone, $997. But here's one of the things, though. I'm with EXP Commercial, and I'm building my team. And my team members, one of which is actually in commercial training at this very moment, gets all of these programs for free. They get my personal training for free. And that, well, for my greater EXP family, I'm going to make you guys a deal. I won't give it to you for free because you're not part of my group, but I'll give it to you for half off. And so the coupon code that's good until the end of the month, July 31st, 2024, is EXP50 off. And the coupon is also good for all Scott with 1T programs. So if you want to go to scottwith1t.com and click trainings, or go to scottwith1t.com/trainings. If you want to get the whole package for half off, you can do that there. And here's the key, though. I offer a 60-day money-back guarantee. You get it, you do it, it will work for you. And hey, if I'm wrong, you get your money back. You have 2 months to tell me, hey, Scott, I got it, I did it, don't see any value in it, can I have my money back? And I have actually had to give money back so far one time. One person said, wasn't worth it, didn't like it, I want my money back. And happily gave him his money back. But that's one person over more than 25 years. And so if that happens to be you, I am happy to give you your money back. So the coupon code is EXP50 off, and there's a QR code. But here's an extra bonus. Now, I don't usually do this. I have an ulterior motive here. As an extra EXP bonus, you will get unlimited support via Marco Polo, email, or text, whichever is your most useful mode of communication through the end of 2024. What that means is you can send me a Marco Polo, which is like a video text, an email, or a text with any questions you have about the material and how to specifically apply it to a situation. Like my client said, well, I know how I do this with a client, or I do this with someone, but now this is between them. How do I apply that? Well, then she could email or text or send me a video, and then I will get back to her with the answer. The ulterior motive is I'm with EXP Commercial, but I'm fairly new with EXP. And this will give me a great opportunity to network with the people who are the key leaders and are the growers in EXP. And so there's, my contact information. So make use of the QR code, or contact me directly if you have any questions. And my information on that is also in the chat. So that's what we got, James.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Dr. John. I just want to open for some questions, and I'll kind of close this out. But I wanted to see if there's a lot of high performers or want to be high performers, or even bigger, trying to grow your team, trying to grow your business. So any questions? Because this is a very good, like I said, a lot of times we always say showing up is more than half the battle, right? Ask the questions, because very rarely do you get this type of one-on-one, ask some questions. But I would definitely say, Scott and Dr. John, if you don't mind putting your contact information again, we will save it, but please ask some questions, because this is a very good moment and opportunity for you to learn more, connect more, and actually maybe with your teams and stuff, talk to them about what you could do for your groups and other associations that you're a part of. I'm sure they'll reach out. Any questions? April?
I know I always have a question, right?
Well, you're a high performer already, and I know that.
One of the questions I had, I was going to just kind of save, but just within EXP Commercial, just would either of the gentlemen be interested in just kind of doing a mastermind group of some sort? And that was really it, but I felt it would be, that's more so geared for more of a personal conversation. But you were right, Jim, I had a question.
I always know. You know what? Actually, that's a great idea. Scott, we could and will put something in workplace for a performance coach, getting masterminds, getting groups together, learning this. And this is just a tip I know I've learned a great deal just for a couple things I can implement. And it really is changing my own mindset of the hero, victim, and really defining the problems that we're both heroes to tackle something together. And with Dr. John, let me tell you, he's persistent. I'm a tough guy. Everyone kind of tries to reach out to me. sells me, he shares with me, he shows me instead of just trying to sell me, sell me, sell me, sell me, but he's determined. And I think a lot of times in sales or business development, you need the tenacity, you need the coach that's doing. So a lot of times I like to watch people, because I'm patient, and I've learned, right, from martial arts, it's patient. You don't just get your white belt and all of a sudden you're a black belt. It takes 4 years, especially for adults, or longer to get it. And it's that discipline and patience to get it and work higher, and then you kind of got it after your first black belt. You're like, oh, I understand now. But this is very exciting, I think, for everyone to learn how to bring it up. And I know they're open to work with you and the team or help. They're good people trying to give back. Obviously, everyone needs to make a living and do stuff, but they will work with you to figure it out. But I love your suggestion, April, to put something together, to expand it through the EXP family. And Scott and Dr. John, I already know another event that I'm putting on with about 1,000 people that I'd like to invite you to, because every time we do this, this is very informative, right? I'm always learning something hearing the speakers. April?
As I'm looking at the individuals that have joined us, I see 2 of my mentees have joined us. So I appreciate them being here with us. Guys, you don't have to answer this now. Would any consideration be given to group coaches? Or I'm sorry, coaching a group. So for example, if I and my 2 mentees, who I like to say are my business partners, if we were able to come together and have a group session, what would that look like? Again, it sounds like that's the answers. It's for a later conversation.
So for me, so you can always schedule an appointment. I'd love to talk to you, April, and figure out how we can actually strategize whatever you want. And the concept is the outcome. What's your outcome? What do you actually want? And then from there, I can actually prepare something for you. So I need to know your more outcomes that you want to hit, so that I can actually come up with something. And Scott's probably pretty much the exact same way. But I'm not going to speak for Scott. Scott, go ahead. You can answer that.
But yes, I'm open to a discussion. My suggestion is talk to John first. John and I will chat when he gets a better sense of your outcomes, and we can set stuff up, because I am fairly new to EXP, even though I've been in real estate for, what am I at, 15, 18 years, something like that. So I am looking forward to getting to know more of the family.
Yeah, I mean, no. So
Thank
my
you.
biggest thing about it is our outcome is to serve people in the highest way, however that we can help out, and whatever take place, whatever that you see when you look at the website of that you want something that's separate. Let us know, and we can come up with some strategies and some concepts as well. But
I appreciate you both.
and the reason why that I gave mine was, but I didn't say it earlier. But we get a package of. We get a time management program, an NLP for sales, we get business coaching, and then we also get Scott program as well. So everything's combined into one, all combined into one, right? And then of course we do the group as coaching, but the group is pretty much based on EXP because of the family, because we're family, right? And my biggest thing about it is my outcome is to serve you guys in the highest way. So we can come up with a number that's really a win-win for both of us, for all of us, and then we can go from there. Is that fair enough?
Sounds great. And this just because I asked the question, it just is a reminder of you have not because you ask not. So
Absolutely.
thank you, guys.
Matter of fact, as in Matthew 7:7, asking it should be given, seeking should find, knocking the door, it should be open. You got to ask. We didn't say beg, gripe, complain. It says ask. Absolutely. Agreed.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Top Agents Commercial Wednesdays. You're going to see more of this as we now, thank you. I've always learning to put this in workplace, to share it with more of our family, put a win-win. And I love that. And people, and Dr. John, you did say you got to put some skin in the game. Otherwise, free doesn't make you motivated, but there is a guarantee to get your money back. So I think if we start moving this, and you're going to see this more testimonials because they've trained, right? These are people with track records and experience to lead you, but they're mentor you, they guide you, they're accountable. And I'll tell you, talking about them up, they have different styles that fit your nature, but they're no BS. They will talk you, in a way, force you to get out of your comfort zone to perform. I'll tell you that, right, Dr. John? We've had some conversations, and Scott, I know your differences, but why they're here today they cracked me. And usually that's not easy because I've seen it all, heard it all, trained. But also, you know, I've always said I can lead, but I'm a student also. I'm always a student of learning and understanding. So understanding with these two individuals and their network, it's the power. And this is why you see a lot of our events, we're building up to more and more to help everyone here. So please reach out to them. If they can help you, your team, they're going to work with you, train as many people, help as many people as possible, give back. And I know, and I'm not going to speak for either one of them, but they do a lot of things to help other people. So I would just say reach out, have a conversation so you can do something bigger together. But everyone, thank you again for being with us this Wednesday. Please follow and like us on LinkedIn, and then more to come every Wednesday. Everyone have a great day. Thank you so much.
It's a blessed day, guys, and bye for now.
Hello.